Vote on what you
It is whatever they want to do.
Yeah, we'll see.
We're good to go. All righty, I'd like to call this meeting for city council together here on Tuesday night. Mr. Don Marsh, with the invocation, please, sir.
Sure, yeah. Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for the many blessings of life that we have. And God, we're asking tonight for your help and provision for our city. We ask, God, humbly for wisdom, understanding. We ask, God, that you allow us to live our lives and represent those with whom we live and whom we serve with transparency. God, we ask for insight. We ask for foresight as we make the decisions and deliberate the matters of the business of Hopkinsville. God, we pray for Hopkinsville that you would strengthen it and make it a place that is a shining example of what cities can be when people work together and trust you. We give you thanks for that in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. May I get everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Join me as we salute and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Brittany, will you call the roll?
Councilmember Francis.
Here.
Councilmember Smiley.
Here.
Councilmember Marsh.
Here.
Councilmember Crabtree.
Here.
Councilmember Craig.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember Wilcox.
Here.
Councilmember Meek.
Here.
Councilmember Lineberger.
Here.
Councilmember Keel.
Here.
Councilmember Bell.
Here.
Councilmember Handy.
Present.
And we have 12 and we have a quorum.
Thank you. Awards and recognitions, I would like to call on Hopkinsville Police Department. Captain Sierra, would you come down?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am honored today to welcome these three new officers into our department. They have a vast wealth of knowledge and experience. Returning officer, a brand new officer, an officer from another jurisdiction that decided to come to our family, get a little knowledge behind his badge. I think they're going to be great additions to the department. I'm really looking forward to see their growth. They're great guys, and so far they've been outstanding officers. On the far left is Officer Peter Scherm. He's from Germany. His fiancee is Misty, and his son back there, his son is Cole, and Cole's going to be pinning him today. In the middle is Mr. Jonathan Knight, and that's his wife Michaela, and she's going to be placing the badge on him today. He's coming to us from Todd County, where he was a sheriff's deputy down there. Over here on the right here is Officer Dendrick Holmes. He was with our department for 5 years ago, served several years with us, went to the sheriff's department for about a year, and returned back home to us. And hopefully he'll stick with us this time. And this is his wife Carson, and she's going to be returning. She's going to be pinning his badge on, and she's also expected their first child in May.
Nice.
We'll read the oath. I'll ask you to say your name, and I will finish reading the oath to you. And y'all put the score on that. Please, Ms. Brittany, and Molly.
Raise the hand.
I need you to raise your right hand. I, as a citizen of the Commonwealth of Kentucky and the United States of America, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully perform to the best of my ability the duties of police officer for the city of Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution of all the United States and of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. So help me God. Right.
let's start putting them in. Yep.
Congratulations. Glad to have you.
Thanks, officer.
Congratulations. Thanks. Congratulations. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Congratulations.
Welcome back.
Welcome. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations.
Jeez.
Thank you.
Thank God.
Is it back to me again? Okay,
We're six.
okay, you're gonna need it. Okay. All righty, we open the floor up for public comments. If anyone would like to stand up to the podium and give you your name and your address for the city of Hopkinsville so we can have it on the record.
Good evening. My name is Faye Hendricks. I reside at 314 Deepwood Drive. I recently sent an email to all of you regarding the state of the L&N Depot, and so many of you responded, which is really encouraging. And I want to thank you both for your time, your attention, and your willingness to serve Hopkinsville and the greater Hopkinsville community. The overall sentiment that I read in your email replies was that everybody is really concerned about the L&N Depot and wants to do what we can to preserve it. But there was a big but at the end of that. We're also very, very concerned of what the price tag will be. Of course, cost is a big issue, and you are responsible for being wise with our city budget. We also know that you have several other pressing demands and issues to fund as well. However, I was very encouraged, and I want to encourage this body to embrace a fairly large public following that also wants to preserve this property and has a great interest in saving the L&N Depot and really to see what we can do together despite this very daunting price tag that we expect. I would like to see the city form a committee or a partnership between the interested city parties and the community citizens who are interested in trying to save the depot. I've been in Hopkinsville since 2005, and I've been very amazed by how generous our community is. It is one of the most giving communities in the entire state of Kentucky. And I feel we're up to the task of giving to a good cause. I urge you to make this cause a priority to help develop a functional purpose for a newly renovated depot and to really give a lot of assistance to a group of people that wants to do something but doesn't really know what we can do to help. Synergy is a very powerful force. We can do this together, and we are better together. to really echo your prayer, but that's what I already had in my comments. I want to thank you for your time and your consideration. I know that this is a very big decision that you have coming, and it may take several years for us to work together to get the funds that we need to make this a possibility. Thank you.
Anyone else? Please come state your name.
How's it going? I'm Hugh Ford. I stay at 720 Howell Street. I'm responding, I'm here because the other day I saw something on the Hopkinsville Police Department website, Facebook, that ordinance 158.401 restricting any citizens from owning chickens. I thought that was quite awkward, and I looked at the reasons why, and I thought, this is all foolishness. If this were the case of zoonotic disease, I'm sure you've all read it. No? Okay, well, if you haven't, it stated basically three things. One, the noise, which I can understand. But if this is going to be the case, we need to get rid of dogs too, cats too, zoonotic disease. We need to get rid of all pets. And I'm pretty sure somebody here owns a parakeet, so we can stop the fowl thing. I really want to discuss methods that we can actually implement to actually let people have their fowl and not be a nuisance to other people, because it's not that hard. Thank you.
Mayor, members of the council, I congratulate you all for taking office in this new year. And together we face the challenges and the opportunities of Hopkinsville and Christian County. I speak for a number of citizens in regard to the depot. It has a long history, we're familiar with it, and it has a future. And we urge you to join us as we together try to find some way to save that building and to put it to a good use, because that is the most important thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Amy Strickland. I live at 135 South Sunset Circle. I, along with you, saw the post that the Hopkinsville Police Department did make on Facebook. So I wrote or tagged Travis, and he said, show up here today and let us know how you feel. So here I am. So the ordinance says, chickens and all other poultry, fowl are not allowed to be kept as domesticated animals in our city limits per city ordinance 158.401. Have you guys ever seen these posters from World War I and II? I know they're really hard to see. This headline says, do not sell laying hens, save the 30 eggs or more. Interesting, profitable, and patriotic. And this one says, Uncle Sam expects you to keep hens and raise chickens. Chickens were very important during the war, and they're still very important today. Why is city ordinance 158.401 necessary? Perhaps it's as the Hopkinsville Police Department explained on their Facebook page. Let me summarize their post for your consideration. Chickens tend to leave their fenced-in yards and coops. Chickens can carry harmful zoonotic diseases that humans and other domesticated animals can get seriously ill from. Chickens are quite loud and can bother your neighbor. Without a proper setup and frequent cleaning, the area they are confined to can emit a foul odor. Harboring poultry and fowl will attract more wild animals as they are prey to most predatory wildlife. Are these facts correct? Partially, but most are false myths about urban chickens. Fact number 1, a 40-pound dog generates more solid waste than 10 chickens. Chicken manure is valuable. It's a high nitrogen fertilizer and will eat just about all of your kitchen waste. Chicken manure can be combined with yard and leaf waste to create compost. Chickens are biomass recyclers and can divert tons of organic matter from trash collection and landfills. The chicken's job is to divert from the trash stream. Less trash will need to be picked up by the workers, then transported, and then disposed of. All of this can save big-time taxpayer dollars, which is especially valuable in these times of stressed municipal budgets. Fact number 2, chickens are not the only animal to carry zoonotic diseases. I would even argue that perhaps dogs carry a larger number of zoonotic diseases than chickens. Dogs transmit several viral and bacterial diseases such as rabies and MRSA.
Our limit.
Oh, I have a time limit.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Please consider this. Thank you.
Any more public comments? Going once. All right, moving right along, and mayor's comments. Thank you to the police department, and thank you to the 3 officers that were sworn in tonight. Hopefully they'll be with us for a good 20-plus years on that. Other comments we have, Parks and Rec's had a 44 soccer team tournament last weekend at the Sportsplex. They've got another 45-team soccer tournament at the Sportsplex again this weekend. The youth basketball hoops showcase winter shootout tournament scheduled for February the 18th and 19th. The 13th International Festival is coming up March 24th and 25th, so anybody who wants to get involved with that, please see Tab and them over there. And don't forget the recycling. Please remember the recycling. They've got over 1,000 people right now, but we're still wanting to grow. So let's don't slow up now. Let's keep moving forward on the recycling out of solid waste. And I move that into reports from officers and committees and guests. Funeral Museum.
Good evening, y'all. Do you want jazz hands?
I figured I figured it was coming.
Well, I'm Melissa Keller, for those of you who don't know and don't expect my jazz hands yet. And I am the executive director of the Penny Royal Area Museum, the Museums of Historic Hopkinsville Christian County. We do operate 2 museums in town, and I just want to take this opportunity to come, introduce myself, and make sure that you all know that you are always welcome to come and visit us. I did create 2, I need to keep one, a year in review, so you could get an idea of what we did in 2022, as well as a sneak peek, of our strategic plan. I say ooh because thank you for getting this put into the IT system on short notice. I'm going to pass these around. You'll see that the first thing we need to do is buy a new printer. There you go. So we've done this for a number of years, where we took the year that we've just finished and boiled it down into some numbers that give you an idea of the things we do and the things that we've accomplished over the year that had just ended. So in 2022, I'll hit some of the highlights. We received 1 award of excellence. We received the Thomas D. Clark Award of Excellence as part of the Kentucky History Awards in Frankfort from the Kentucky Historical Society. We did 95 programs last year. 95, that's almost 2 a week that we provided for this community last year. And of those 95, 82% of those were free. We published 12 articles with a partnership with Hoptown Chronicle. I've been writing columns for, it's a Snapshots in Time series that we've done, 1 every month. And the 2022 was dedicated to historic photographs that then were taken, primarily from William Turner's collection, and then used to tell a large story. This year, we're using an artifact from the collection each month to tell a story that is much bigger than what meets the eye. The first one we did in January was about a set of snowshoes that the museum has in its collection. They date to about 1916. They are of an Alaskan design, and they were owned by a local attorney who we believe used them during a big snow in 1917 and 1918. He probably walked right by here wearing these huge snowshoes. So we will continue with that throughout this year. 415 bound volumes of the Kentucky New Era made a new home in the museum, coming from the Kentucky New Era archives and also from those that were previously stored at the Hopkinsville Christian County Public Library. So now, if it exists of the Kentucky New Era in bound volume form, we should have it. And they date as early as 1886 through 1999. The more recent ones are still in the New Era's office. You can see our Facebook followers, so our social media presence, the number of guests we have. We have more in-program attendees than we do in just walking in the door. So it's really important for us to do those 95 programs each and every year. I will say, you can look at it different ways, but of our total visitation, 60% of it was in our building, and then about 40% of it were things we took out and about. We cleaned 103 tombstones. I don't know if y'all know. Natasha knows we do this because she's been to help. It's something we did in the spring and summer. We call it Tombstone Tuesday, and started in Pioneer Cemetery on Farrell and 13th Streets, the city's oldest city cemetery, and it's owned by the city as well. City does a great job maintaining it, but thought the tombstones could use a little love at the same time. So we met on Tuesday evenings for about an hour each session. Folks joined us. We never had a huge group, but we had a very faithful group that came out, and we used proper techniques to clean the tombstones. And if you drive by them now, they are a little brighter than they would have been. Many of those are very old and very worn, but we were glad to bring those stones back to life and to kind of give those people a name again. So we will continue with that. Where is the next question? So I've got some work to do to figure out where we're going to go next. We used about 30 gallons of paint. We didn't, Altman Coatings did, to paint our town clock once again this past November. Big thanks to City Council for $25,000 from the T-Mobile grant that helped pay for the majority of that painting. We sold 904 items in the gift shop. We had 530 volunteer hours that came through. 27 years old. This is my favorite little statistic. Our museum staff, as of the end of last year, our average age was 27. I found it hard to believe. And that was even me weighting it for part-time and full-time staff. I'm officially the oldest person that works there now, and Travis Martin knows exactly how old I am. Because he is the same age. And then 2 historic structures. We manage and maintain 2 historic structures downtown. The old U.S. Post Office building, where the Pennyroyal Area Museum resides. That building built in 1914 as the post office and owned by the city of Hopkinsville. But we have been the steward of the building since 1975 when the museum opened there. And then also the Woody Winfrey Fire Transportation Museum, which is was built in 1905 originally as the Central Fire Station. It did burn. The fire station did burn in 1924 and was rebuilt within really the same walls, and the museum opened there in 2008. That building is owned by the local development corporation, but again, it is our responsibility to maintain both of those. So you can see that we are dedicated to those buildings. They are one of our biggest responsibilities, but they're expensive. So we spent almost $40,000 last year just on basics. That was not any renovating at all. So that was just keeping the lights on. We are looking forward now that we've got the Pennyroyal Area Museum restored and with a brand new exhibit. We're working on some ideas about how to show some love to the old fire station as well. The other side, which is much easier to see on your screen than on this terrible printout, shows you our strategic plan priorities at a quick glance. The board met a number of times this fall to review our existing strategic plan and then look forward into where we want to kind of drive and guide our ship in the next 3 years. So we have 3 big headings: engagement, collections, as in artifact collections, our finances, our buildings, and then our board and staff development. And you can see some of our main goals under each one, and then some of the priorities that we will be focusing on in the next 3 years. We got a lot ahead of us, so we're real excited. Thank you so much for letting me come and share a little bit about the museum. I hope you'll be willing to let me come back every once in a while and give you some updates. As Adalia mentioned before the meeting started, we're partnering with Human Rights Commission on the Supper Club that is this Thursday night, but we have a number of Black History Month events and programs and activities coming up. We're planning on and through the spring. We've got lots of stuff on the calendar. If you are not one of our 5,054 Facebook followers, you should be, and please become one of those because we do our best to stay as up to date as we can right there. Thank y'all.
Thank you. All righty. Item B under reports, we'll go to the annual audit report. Ms. Kelly Webb from York and Neal.
Hello, my name is Kelly Webb. I'm a CPA and a partner at York Neal and Associates. I started working at York Neal in 2006 and have been working on city-related audits ever since then. So I became a partner in 2016, and I have been the partner on this. Oh, better? Sorry. I've been the partner on this city audit ever since 2016. So I might be a new face to a lot of you, but I'm not new to your audit. Let's talk a little bit about all of the papers in front of you, and I know you have a lot. The first one is the one that's written in blue, has the blue binding. This is your general audited financial statements. This is your main audit. This is what I'm going to be presenting from. But you have another larger report in front of you. This is the exact same thing. It has all of that, but it has some extra stuff in it as well. It has an introductory section in the beginning, and it has a letter from Robert. And then there's statistical sections in the back and with 10-year trends and some other things. He and the finance department submit that report to the GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association, each year, and submit it in order to be considered for the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting. The city has been awarded this certificate 27 times, and we have every reason to think it'll be awarded again this year. The other item that you have is a one-page sheet, and this is what Robert calls his cheat sheet, but it gives a three-year summary of just the trends in your cash and investments and your fund balance. Your fund balance is what's left out. It's your cash minus your payables and some timing differences for receivables, and that's what makes up your fund balance. And then it has trends in significant debt. So if you look at the long-term obligations near the bottom, that's some big numbers in there. So I broke up a little bit so you would know what's in there besides just regular debt. There is the police and fire pension, net pension liability. That is the pension plan that you had before everyone joined SERS. So it's just a little bit of police and fire, what's still left of that. The other two, the net pension liability and the net OPEB liability, that's all SERS, your county retirement plan. And that's a really big number. That number comes directly from the state. It's your share of the pension liability for that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in here as well. So what I'm going to be presenting is the blue one. I didn't bring a PowerPoint slide, but I'll direct you to the page numbers that I'm on, so if you want to follow along. After the table of contents is our audit opinion. The first paragraph has that we audited the financial statements and lists all the financial statements that we audited. The second paragraph is going to be the part you're interested in. In our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly, in all material respects, the respective financial position of the governmental activities, the business type activities, the aggregate discretely presented component units, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the City of Hopkinsville as of June 30th, 2022, and the respective changes in financial position and cash flows, in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. I know that's a whole lot of words, but that's your clean audit opinion, so that's exactly what you want to hear. The rest of the report just is some informational stuff. It's the basis for how we formed our opinion. The bottom is the responsibilities of management for the financial statements, because ultimately this is management's financial statements, and then we audit them. Then there's the auditor's responsibilities for the audit, what our responsibilities are. Talks a little about required supplementary information. Supplementary information, that's going to be later in the report. And then other reporting required by government auditing standards. And those reports are in the very back. I'll mention those as well. Your next section is management's discussion and analysis. This is pages 4 through 17. This is more of an overview of the financials. It discusses changes from the prior year and some reasons for those changes. So this is more of an analysis than what the rest of the report is. The report is going to give you basic, just what the disclosures are and what the numbers are, but this is going to explain the why. So we're going to get to the basic financial statements. This is the big part of your report. Page 18 is where that starts. Something to keep in mind when you're doing city financial statements, there are two types of financial statements. One is the government-wide financial statements. This is a really big view of all the funds that you have, all the capital assets you have, like the buildings and the infrastructure and equipment and that sort of thing, and then less accumulated depreciation. That's what your capital assets are. And then all of your debt. So this is going to look a lot more foreign to you than what you normally see on the financial statements. The other financial statements that we do are fund financial statements. This is what Robert presents to you guys every month. So those are going to look a lot more familiar. But we start with the government-wide financial statements. Page 18 and 19 is the statement of net position. This is like a balance sheet. The first big column is the governmental activities. As I said before, this is everything in your government. It's all of the funds, everything. The far side column is component units. That is HWA, Hopkinsville Solid Waste, and Hopkinsville Surface and Stormwater. That's all consolidated to just kind of present them off to the side, but there is a breakdown later on that you'll see. So looking at our governmental activities, it starts just like a normal balance sheet would. There's the assets. You see that your largest assets are $20 million in cash. You have other really large assets and capital assets, net of depreciation. And then there is another large receivable in there under restricted assets. This is due from component units. This is for debt that is issued for the component units, but is issued in the city's name. So because even though it's going to be paid for by the component unit, it has to go on your books because it's in the city's name. So there's a really big liability because of that. This offsets it. This is how much that the city and the component unit have agreed to pay back. There's a deferred outflows of resources. That's sort of a timing thing that's mainly related to all of your pension plans and will be an expense later. The second page, page 19, are your liabilities. And if you look in that section, the biggest section is the non-current liabilities. It's the significant debt that was on that summary page. That includes all of your debt as well as all of the debt of the component units that's in the city's name. You have deferred inflows of resources. Again, that's timing issues related to the pension liability. So when you take all your assets minus all your liabilities, you get to net position, sort of like fund balance, which you see on your normal monthly financial statements. Net position is what you have left over. You have the net investment in capital assets. That we have to state that is the amount of the assets and such that is tied up for your capital assets, less any debt related to that. Then you have a little bit of restricted things related to capital projects, expendable and non-expendable trusts. What's left is available to use for anything. However, on this method of accounting, your unrestricted net position and your total net position is a deficit. However, that is expected because of all the net pension liabilities. If you look at the net pension liabilities, they are about $67 million. So that's what's accounting for your deficit there. The next page goes along with it, and it's the last one of the government-wide. This is like a profit and loss statement. However, because it's for a government, it's much harder to understand, so I'm going to walk you through it. But this is the statement of activities on page 20. Off to the left is your primary government, and that's all of your primary government functions, the general government, public safety, public works, and so on. And then some component units are listed below. The first column, they want you to know how much your expenses are that are associated with those functions. So that's why you have all the negatives starting out. The next three columns are program revenues. It's revenues that's directly related to those programs, whether it be for charges of services or grants that came in, it's directly tied to that. And then you get to the last set is the net expense, or net revenue for those programs. There's a lot of net expense, but that's because you have a lot of general revenues down there at the bottom. That's where all your property taxes, your other taxes, your licenses come in. And that's not tied to a direct program, but it does support operations for the city. So that's the large part of that. The important part on this is towards the bottom is the change in net position. This is like net income. So you have $4.2 million net income for the year ended 6/30/2022. Now that's on the accrual basis on this wide government, whole government view. And if you look below that, that shows the change in that net deficit. So you see at the beginning of the year it was, and then at the end of the year, that deficit has gone down by $4 million. And that's your plan is to, you have this really big deficit because of the net pension liability, but you want to chip away at it each year so that it does go down, and it is going down. Okay, those were the government-wides. Those are the odd ones, and hopefully I won't have to talk as much about these others because they're going to be a lot more familiar to you. So now we do fund financials the whole rest of the way. Page 21 is your balance sheet. This is for government funds. This is broken up into different categories. The first one is your general fund, which you pay a lot of attention to. That's on your monthly financials every year. Then we have to put any major funds. That changes every year, whether it's going to be major or not, based on certain qualifications. So your major funds for the audited year are the ARPA fund, which is a special revenue fund, and your main capital fund. All your other funds are consolidated in that fourth column, the non-major governmental funds. That stuff, in order to get the breakdown for what makes up all of that, there's more schedules in the back for that. So primarily looking at your general fund. Well, and for these governmental funds, as I said, this is what you're more used to looking at. It's primarily your cash. There's going to be receivables, anything that's current, and then there's going to be current payables. So your debt's not on here. And then what's left is your fund balance, and that's what your ability to meet current obligations. So the general fund, after assets minus liabilities, you have fund balances of $17 million. Total governmental funds do the same thing. You have almost $27 million in fund balances. So that's a really healthy fund balance. That's good because you're more than able to meet your current liabilities. The next page, page 22, is just a reconciliation. How did we get from the fund balance on this previous page to the net position that was on pages 18 and 19? You have all these reconciling items. Just glancing at it, you can tell it's because of capital assets and debt. Page 23 is the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. This is like a profit and loss statement, and it looks a lot more familiar. You have your revenues and expenditures, and they're broken up into the different columns, just like the balance sheet was. Your expenditures are broken up according to program, like that statement of activities was. And then because of the way this model of reporting, you report debt, because the debt isn't on the balance sheet, you have to show how much debt service was paid out during the year. So it's broken into principal and interest and expenditures. And then there's capital outlay. That's all the capital projects you had during the year. And then the only odd or different section is the other financing sources and uses. This shows all the transfers from all the other funds. And it shows the issuance of new debt, and you guys had some refunding bonds this year, so that's why you have a payment there. But normally, any revenue you have in this other financing sources means there's an expense somewhere up above to offset that. So when you look at the net change in fund balances towards the bottom, that's like net income, but on the fund balance method of accounting. So your general fund had 1.7 million in like net income, and then overall a 3.8 million net income. Page 24 is explaining, it's a reconciliation of how you got from 3.8 million on the fund method to 4.2 on the government-wide method. And you can see larger adjustments and such are because of debt and capital assets. And those are your main financials. That covers the majority of it. Now, I'm going to skim through the rest just so you know what else is in here, but I won't talk about anything else probably quite in as much detail unless somebody asks me to. Pages 25 through 27 are the proprietary fund statements. Your only proprietary fund is your internal service fund, and that is your employee health insurance fund. Pages 28 and 29 is the fiduciary funds. That is the police and fire pension fund, the cash and the investments held on behalf of that pension liability you have for the prior plan. So that $1 million is for that $1 million liability that's eventually going to come due. Pages 30 through 32 is just how the various component units were broken up and how they made up that total on the government-wide statements. Pages 33 through 120 are the notes to the financial statements. That is a lot of papers. That's a lot of information, but that discloses all of the accounting policies and the various disclosures for the city, as well as for all of its component units. Some of the notes you might be more interested in is notes 6 and 7. That's on pages 58 through 95. That is all you would ever want to know about the pension and the OPEB liabilities. Then page 9 is long-term debt. That will show the breakdown a lot more than just those grand totals. It shows the breakdown of what makes up your debt, how much is for component units, and that sort of thing. And then it will also have the debt summarized for each component unit as well. Almost done, guys. The required supplementary information is next, pages 121 to 134. That is a bunch of tables related to the pension, and then there's the general fund budgetary comparison in there. Pages 135 through 141. This is how all of the individual funds are broken up, how we got what the special revenue funds were and how it all added up to the total non-major government funds on some of those more basic financial statements. Your permanent fund is your non-expendable trust. Then there's breakdowns to show up what makes your special revenue funds and what makes up your capital funds. And the last section is the single audit section. And it starts on page 142. You have to get a single audit if you spend more than $750,000 in federal funds during the year. So looking at your schedule of expenditures of federal awards, which is also called the CFA, at the bottom you'll see that total federal spending was $3.6 million. So obviously you had to have a single audit. It shows the breakdown by program, what makes up the 3.6. There's a little asterisk by the bottom one. That denotes the only major program that you had. Major programs are subject to more testing. So you had $3.1 million in federal spending for the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds. Page 143 is just a few more notes related to that statement. Then we have the independent auditor's report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance and other matters. This is for the whole audit, not just the single audit, but this just says that we review all the internal controls on financial reporting and on compliance and a few other matters, but we don't express an opinion on it. However, nothing came to our attention So there was nothing to disclose about that. If something had come to our attention, we would have to disclose that. Page 146 is the independent auditor's report on your single audit. We look at the report on compliance for each major program. As I said, you only had one major program, and then internal control over compliance by the single audit or by the uniform guidance. First paragraph says that we did the audit. Again, the second paragraph is our opinion. In our opinion, the city of Hopkinsville complied in all material respects with the types of compliance requirements referred to above that could have a direct and material effect on its major federal program for the year ended June 30, 2022. Whew, I'm losing breath. But that's a clean opinion. So that's, again, what you want to hear. And then there's just, again, how we have the basis for the opinion, the responsibilities of management, and auditor's responsibilities. Page 149 is a summary of your whole audit. It's not very informative because nothing came up that needed to be disclosed. It has a section for findings and question costs. There were no findings or questions costs. And the last page is if there were findings and question costs in the prior year, because we would follow up to see if it had been corrected, but there were no findings or question costs in the prior year. So I know that was a lot. But does anyone have any questions?
I've got a question, but I don't really know that you're the best person to ask it. If a citizen wants to look at this, do they have access to this online?
Yes, it is available on the website. I don't know that it's up there quite yet.
It's up here?
Okay. Yes, it is available.
So they go to finance and then,
Finance documents.
okay,
And both reports will be available on there.
okay, thank you.
All righty, well, I just want to thank you guys for letting us do this audit, and also to especially thank Robert and Melissa and the finance staff, because they do a wonderful job getting us information, and we ask for a lot of information, especially when they're trying to do their regular jobs. So, and I know they're always glad to see us leave, so thank you all.
Mayor, Council, this is a clean audit, long and short of it. This is a very good audit. She just had to explain the pension parts, just in case the numbers look a little off. That's beyond our obligation. We will, at your retreat, go into more budgeting. I know that sounds exciting, but we'll be in the midst of budget season, revenue, trusts, expenditures, all of it. We did, as you all know, for the 6 new council members, a surface dive. We're going to do more of a deep dive in March when we do a retreat with you. So everything you want to know about money and finances and expenditures, you won't learn it at that retreat, but we'll learn as much as we can in 4 hours. So we will be doing a deeper follow-up. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Number 9, approval of minutes for the January 17th meeting.
Second.
Mr. Tosh? All righty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? See, now we're moving along. All righty, number 10, ordinances. Ordinance 01-2023, Public Works Tool Stipend.
Ordinance 01-2023, amending the employee classification and compensation plan to create a tool stipend for the facilities maintenance specialist and to remove subsection H retention stipend. Summary, now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Hopkinsville, Kentucky as follows. Section 1 of Ordinance 03-2022 as amended by Ordinances 09-2022 and 16-2022 is amended to create a tool stipend of $1,000 annually for the facilities maintenance specialist to furnish, replace, and update tools used to service HVAC systems and other facility repairs. Further, Section 1 is amended to remove subsection H retention stipend in its entirety. The full text of this ordinance is on file in the office of the undersigned city clerk of the City of Hopkinsville at 715 South Virginia Street, Hopkinsville, Kentucky, where it is available for public inspection between the hours of 8:00 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Monday through Friday.
Thank you, Ms. Brittany. Need a motion and a second.
Second.
Don Marsh and Amy. And clerk needs to call the roll.
Councilmember Smiley,
Yes.
Councilmember Marsh,
Yes.
Councilmember Crabtree,
Yes.
Councilmember Craig,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilcox,
Yes.
Councilmember Meek,
Yes.
Councilmember Lumberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Keel,
Yes.
Councilmember Bell,
Yes.
Councilmember Handy,
Yes.
Councilmember Francis,
Aye.
and it passes unanimously.
Thank you. All righty. Item 11, municipal orders. Municipal Order 02-2023, presiding officers.
Municipal Order 02-2023, pursuant to Chapter 31.22 of the Code of Ordinances, Hopkinsville City Council hereby appoints Councilmember Travis Martin as presiding officer in the mayor's absence. This term shall expire December 31st, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Got Amy and Jacob. Okay. Okay. All righty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed likewise?
Will abstain.
We got one abstain.
I ain't gonna vote for myself.
Okay. All righty. Municipal Order 03-2023, City of Pembroke.
Municipal Order 03-2023, Hopkinsville City Council hereby authorizes the mayor to sign the attached memorandum of understanding between the City of Hopkinsville, Kentucky, the City of Pembroke, Kentucky, and Ronald Kent Berry and Donna Berry.
Need a motion?
Need a-
Did you need a motion?
Yes.
A motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. You have number 12, a resolution 01-2023 on the Delta Regional Authority Easy Access Grant Transfer.
Resolution 01-2023, whereas through Resolution 01-2022, the City of Hopkinsville was awarded $410,234 from the Delta Regional Authority for the Easy Access Sewer Project on Pembroke Road, and whereas DRA requires the grant award be transferred to Hopkinsville Water Environment Authority. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Hopkinsville hereby authorizes transferring the grant award to Hopkinsville Water Environment Authority for the Easy Access Sewer Project.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All right, got Amy's the second. Who was the first?
Bruce.
Bruce, okay. All righty. We did, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. All righty, number 13, others. Do we have any other business to speak of at the council right now? Number 14, councilman comments.
Aye.
Yes, Ms. Natasha.
Hi, I'd like to see if we can get an update on Public Works or maintenance on the street, if you have any updates to give us for Ward 1? Yeah, do you have anything? Sure.
So I'm a little unprepared, but I'll try to be brief, but try to cover the
rough.
topic. We've spent, as far as the $2 million that was allocated from the ARPA funds to street paving, we've spent all but, I'm wanting to say, Robert, between $20,000 and $40,000 somewhere right there, and that was just kind of, we fit all that in. And we are going to look at, in fact, I got a memo prepared today from Mike on the fiscal year. We're already looking at fiscal year 23-24 paving list that we'll be getting to Troy and the mayor probably tomorrow. As far as anything remaining for fiscal year 22-23, there's going to be continued street repairs that we do in-house, and then we're probably either going to have to rebid or seek out quotes. We've communicated with Mr. Willen about, we bid out the epoxy resurfacing of the West 2nd Street Bridge, which is probably the biggest complaint area we have, that we've got exposed rebar, and the state has said it's ours to it's ours to resolve. So in our current year street construction money, if you look through there, you're gonna see about $300,000, $250,000 or so of that is gonna be toward that project. So we're probably gonna have to rebid that because we did not receive, nobody came to the mandatory pre-bid, nobody submitted a bid. So we're probably gonna have to go back through that process, and if we don't get any bidders back through that process, then we're gonna have to seek alternate ways to do that, because we really need to get that project done and behind us. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer them.
Any question for Mr. Herndon? Thank you, Dave. Any more council comments?
Mayor, I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a member of the Military Affairs Committee.
Yes, ma'am.
And I spoke with Krista Murtha, and I just have a brief little announcement about our committee. We didn't meet this month because of the snowstorm, but I do have just a short little paragraph or two to read. There was a Bell helicopter donated to Christian County Chamber of Commerce with the intent of creating an aviation mechanics program in the community. Hopkinsville, Kentucky, February 3rd, 2023, and UHIH airframe and 2 salvage T-53 13B engines have been donated to the Christian County Chamber of Commerce through its 501c foundation. The helicopter, engines, and miscellaneous parts were donated to the community with the goal of an aviation's mechanics program will be created. The donation will ultimately pass on to the Christian County Public School System to be utilized at Gateway Academy for a hands-on learning program. Conversations about securing the helicopter for educational purposes began last fall when Doug Englund, Senior Military Sales and Strategy Manager with Bell Trexton, commented during a monthly Chambers Military Affairs Committee meeting that the company's facility in Ozark, Alabama would be closing. Director of Military Affairs, Christy Murtha, began working closely with representatives of Bell Trexton to secure the UHIH airframe and 2 salvage T-53 13B engines. Aviation mechanics are currently in high demand in industries and in the military. This donation opens doors for our educational community to start working on new airframe and/or power plant programs that could potentially attract new aviation industry to our area. We are ecstatic to announce these items were secured and have arrived safely in Hopkinsville earlier this week, said Ms. Murtha. Arrangements are being made for the items to be donated and transferred in name to Christian County Public Schools after meetings confirming the intentions of creating a new aviation mechanics program. This donation has the makings of becoming a tremendous asset to the community, paving the opportunity for lucrative careers and attract aviation industries to the area. We want to thank all of our community partners for helping make this opportunity come to fruition. Bell Trexton for the generous donation, H&R Agri Power for transferring the items at no cost to Christian County Public Schools, and for arranging pickup and opening a new career path, said Taylor Hayes, President and CEO, Christian County Chamber of Commerce. This is a great example of when schools, the community, and the private sector work together. Educational opportunities for our children can be enhanced.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. Yes, the helicopter is here. I went and watched it be unloaded the other day. And it's a lot of it there. It's a whole lot there to be seen, and we got a lot that's got going on there. We went in and looked at a classroom, and they totally sealed the floors, painted the walls, done everything within about a week and a half, transformed that classroom ready for that helicopter. So it is here, ready to go to work.
That's awesome.
All right. Any other councilman comments? Mr. Bale?
One more, the group Men to Be wanted me to announce that they had a company, CE Hughes Milling from Evansville, said they had done a lot of work with the city of Hopkinsville, and Men to Be wanted me to announce that they donated an impactful donation to the group. They some type of way heard of Men to Be, and they wanted me to let y'all know that they did donate back into the community.
Right. Cool. That's great to hear. Any other council comments? All righty. All righty. Number 15, we need to go into closed session, and I need the fire department to hang around just a little bit.
Motion to go into closed
Excuse
session.
me, can I, just a point of order, we're going to go into that and see that I was basically at point 16. Could I just give a shout out to Lipstick After Dark? On February the 28th, they hosted a human trafficking event, a showing of a movie at the library.
Right.
And it was a well-attended. All of the young ladies with Lipstick After Dark just did a super job. I was so proud of them. Matthew Handy was on there with some of our police department and sheriff's department, and other people were on a discussion committee with them. And of course, he's a lot better at that than me, so anyways, pulling it out was good. But they just had a great event, and Brittany Bogert invited my wife and myself, so we attended. It was really awesome, so really happy for that, and want to congratulate them. You know, it's an important issue, and the reason it's an important issue is because of a quotation that I can give you from, and I won't take my time from later, but a quotation I can give you from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "Never, never be afraid to do what's right, especially if the well-being of a person or animal is at stake. Society's punishments are small compared to the wounds we inflict on our soul when we look the other way." And so I just, you know, Hopkinsville is on a corridor of some interstates, which makes us susceptible to human trafficking here. It's everywhere, but I just want to congratulate them. They did a great job.
Thank you.
Motion to go into closed
We
session?
need the motion to go into closed
That's
session
what I think asked for, is a motion.
pursuant to KRS 61.8101B, property acquisition, and 61.8101C, proposed litigation.
I'll second that motion.
And Ms. Amy.
Yep.
Okay. All righty, we will go into closed.
You need a
We need a vote on that first, excuse me. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Action.
I know.
You got it?
Well, with that.
All right, we're back live here. No action was taken in closed session, but we do have some actions to take here now, and I will call on Ms. Brittany to carry us along.
Hopkinsville City Council hereby ratifies the attached agreement for sale of real estate between DDL 10 LLC and the City of Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Thank you. Any other business we need to discuss before we adjourn? Seeing none, I call on Mr. Don Martin.
Thank you. I didn't take all that time earlier to discuss a lot of the training that we've had through the Kentucky League of Cities, but I'm thankful for their help and their guidance and our partnership with them. Learned a lot of great things this couple of weeks ago, this last week. And one of the things that I've come to appreciate is the conscientious evaluation of the safety and the structural condition and the historical and civic value of some of the landmark properties that we have in Hopkinsville. And so it reminds me of a couple of scriptures from the Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 16 says, "The wise are cautious and avoid dangers, but fools plunge ahead with reckless confidence." And Proverbs chapter 27, verse 12 says, "The prudent foresee danger and take precautions, but the careless blindly proceed and suffer the consequences." And so I just want to thank God for the conscientious way that we've been moving ahead, because these are issues that face all of us in Hopkinsville, in honor not just of the month of February and the contributions of Black Americans, but also of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He made a couple of quotations from a collection of sermons that he published in 1963 called Strength to Love. One of them says, "We may all have come on different ships, but we're all in the same boat now." And that's kind of where we are. The council, the mayor working together. Words are incredibly powerful, and 4 words come to my mind that I wanted to share tonight. One of them is hindsight, one is insight, one is foresight, one is oversight. There is a book called Good to Great, and in that book, I think one of the formulas that the writer gives is that hindsight plus foresight equals insight. And I'm thankful for the insight that several of the council members on this council have, and the oversight that the mayor diligently gives day after day. In that same collection of sermons, Dr. Martin Luther King says, the tough-minded person always examines the facts before he reaches conclusions. In short, he post-judges, which is kind of an affirmation of those Proverbs scriptures that I gave. And one of the things that we're constantly looking for from the help of not only just the Hopkinsville leadership, the staff, administration, citizens working together, is 2 other words that I wanted to share tonight. One of them is input, and the other is output. We need both. We need the input of citizens like we had tonight. It was a fair, it was an open, it was a great expression of their concerns, and we need that discussion, and it will help the output, because at an address at Spelman College in 1960, Dr. Martin Luther King said, "Keep moving, for it may well be that the greatest song has not yet been sung. The greatest book has not yet been written. The highest mountain has not yet been climbed." And I might say for us tonight concerning Hopkinsville, maybe the best Hopkinsville has not yet been seen. So we want to just give our contribution and let our names that appear on those little metal plaques back there mean something. And so that's my adjournment tonight. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that worked so hard, and make a motion to adjourn.
All right, got a motion and a second by Travis. Thank you. We are adjourned.
Thank you.